invested in country music. Country music was always a big part of my family growing up. It wasn't Christmas unless Garth Brooks's Christmas album was playing while we were decorating the tree. So
that's my girl, sister. That's what I'm talking about right there.
That feels like Christmas to me. And if I hear something from that, I'm going to be just dragged right back into that young childhood, you know, putting ornaments on the tree. So yeah, I always had a love and a passion for country music, and so I started writing. And you know, I think I always wanted to make it my career and something that I pursued. But I always kind of had this thing in me that has like, it's just, no, it's not something you can do. It's not something that you can pursue. Just come on, AC, be logical. You know what I mean? It's fine. And I love science. So I ended up going into biochemistry, and I studied that for 4 years. I got my degree, and I was going to go get my PhD. And then right as I was filling out applications for grad school, I found myself not being able to actually click the send button. I was like, I can't do it. And I just, you know, I had to pursue this country music passion, because I was gigging throughout college. So I do all my lab work during the week. I'd play shows on the weekend, and I never got the chance to just give it 100%. And so I was like, you know, I think I owe it to myself to not have regrets and to just dive into it and give it a try. And, you know, I dove right into it, and I met up with some incredible people. And over the past few years, everything has just sort of exploded. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the radio singles and whatnot coming up, but you know, things just sort of really took off for me. So I'm really happy that I took that chance.
One smart cookie, young lady. By the way, I used to live in Ohio.
Really? What part?
Yes. I lived in Columbus, Reynoldsburg, Westerville, up in Delaware County, up in a little place called Shawnee Hills, which is, and because you're from Ohio, you'll understand this terminology. Most people won't. I lived up by Smurffield. Everybody else called it Muirfield. We used to call it Smurffield, the little blue Smurfs.
Right.
Because the running joke there was those were $1 million houses. They could afford $1 million home, but they couldn't afford blinds. None of the houses had blinds on them. I'm talking 12-foot tall windows.
Uh-oh.
Don't know about you, but I don't want somebody looking in.
No, that's a lot of window.
So, yeah, I left here for 10 years when I was married, and I moved up there. And 2 of my daughters are up there, and then I have one out south in Kansas. Well, 2 out south in Kansas and myself.
Oh my gosh! So, how about that?
That's pretty awesome. Because I seen in your bio where you were from Ohio.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And
that is awesome.
So let's talk about buses and trains.
Yeah.
It charted at number 33.
Yeah, it did. I know. I was so excited. It was a really big deal for me because it was my first radio single since I had decided to sort of change my path. And so it was a really scary and exciting time for me because here I was putting out this new single to radio, and it was kind of the first test of how I would be received. And so that was really nerve-wracking because I'm like, this is kind of a make or break moment. I feel like if it's not received well, I don't know what to do next, kind of thing. And so we put it out there, and it just started climbing up on the charts. And I remember I got a call one day. It was actually really funny. We were getting some new merch in, and so I was testing out new merch. So I actually had an A.C. Jones t-shirt on, of all things. And I got the call from my radio promotion company, and they were like, hey, by the way, you made top 40 today. And I was like, wait, what? And so I just started crying. And it was so funny because I've got pictures of me on the phone call. And I promised that A.C. Jones t-shirt was not planted. It was just a happy coincidence, I guess. But, so to me, it was just this moment of validation. And it was so exciting that I was able to go out there and you know, country radio received me so well. And I just really appreciate them for taking a chance on me and giving me that opportunity. And it's been an exciting ride ever since. So.
Self-promotion though, wear your own shirt, hey, free advertising, walk around, and they're going, well, who's A.C. Jones? And then you just play off like you're not. She's this awesome artist. You got to go over here to Spotify and check her music out, man. She is awesome.
It was just so funny. I just literally put it right on, and then all of a sudden I got the phone call, and I'm like, okay, well, I promise I don't walk around in this shirt all the time.
And then you had another hit.
Yeah.
At number 57, I believe it was Mr. Moon.
Yeah, so Mr. Moon also charted top 40 on the Music Row charts, and then that was the one that charted number 57 on the Billboard Country Indicator chart. And so that was just so thrilling because in all my life I never thought that I would have my name associated with Billboard, and that was just crazy to me. So that was really exciting, and I think what was even more exciting about that is the fact that I had a hand in writing Mr. Moon. So Buses and Trains, that was a pitch song to me. So my producer had pitched it to me. I really liked the song. We put that out. But Mr. Moon was something that I actually had a hand in writing. And I think that that was just so incredible to me because now not only had I charted as an artist, but I would charted as a writer as well. And that was so important to me.
Do you find doing your music, this is what I see, and I know you'll understand this terminology. I like music that takes me to church. I mean,
oh my gosh, I say that all the time. So, I promise you, I say that all the time. If you listen through my playlist, it's totally that, yeah.
Do you find it better off when you are doing your own music that either you've written or that you're collaborating with, that you haven't been pitched? That, I mean, you know, I don't think a lot of people in that aren't in the industry, I think your listeners and even the fans and all that, I know for a fact, they don't understand that most of the big artists don't write their own music.
Yeah, and I think.
But you guys do. You guys are putting out the better music, in my opinion. And I'm not taking nothing away from the Luke Bryans and Blake Sheltons, but I follow a lot of you guys, and that's what I'm trying to do is help promote you guys and get you out there. And by chance, the right person sees you and goes, "That's the person we want to come and be our next superstar."
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that support. And, I think I do like writing my own music because I feel like I can maybe sometimes connect with it a little bit better in that sense. Emotionally, I'm a big emotional person when it comes to music. I need to connect emotionally in some way. When I get pitch songs, though, not that I'm not open to that, I'm definitely open to that because there's some incredible songs out there. And some of my favorite songs are written by other people. But it has to really resonate with me. And I always say, it's really funny, whether it's a sad song or a happy song, doesn't matter which one. If I laugh when I listen to it, then that's usually a good sign, even if it's sad. It's the sort of the laugh of, oh, that's funny, because that's very much me. And it tends to resonate with me in that way. So usually I'll only really take a pitch song if it's something that I feel really resonates with me. And then on top of that, I think sometimes with pitch songs, it can be difficult because you got to find something that fits your voice too, and the style of how your voice works. So when I find something that just feels right, and I know that melodically it will work with the way that my voice works, it's just a match made in heaven. So that's perfect. But so I think it does sometimes, though, when you write music, it's a little bit easier because you know your own voice and you know naturally where it's going to lead in the melody and everything. But I love both. I do love both. There's so many talented writers out there, and it's great to get to hear what they have. So
that's awesome because I have a songwriter friend of mine, and being that you're a songwriter and an artist, both, because he always tells me, he's like, it's hard for me to find an artist what I hear up here and have them have it go out. That and whereas you kind of you're coming up with the lyrics, you're basically producing your own music, you're arranging, you're producing, and in some case you're even distributing. I mean in today's society, there's no, with the internet and the easiness of CD Baby and obviously Spotify and iTunes and all that, there's a lot of platforms you can get your music and stuff out on there.
Absolutely.
But he taught me that. And the other word was relatable.
Yeah.
And that's when you relate to your fans, because they can tell, or I can, when it's something that's from your soul.
Yeah.
It's just something in your voice that says, ooh, this is personal.
She feels that.
Or there was something, whether she wrote it or not, something happened that she can relate to that, and I can relate to the way that she's relating it out here to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is so true.
Well, we can't go any farther without one important family member.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Andy.
Oh, my gosh.
Tell everybody about Andy.
Nobody asks me about Andy. Oh, my goodness. I love it. Yes. Oh my gosh. So Andy is my dog, and she is a Beagle Blue Heeler mix. Yes, it's a girl, and her name is Andy, but it's spelled IE. And she, oh my goodness, she is such a weird dog, but I think she fits perfectly with my personality. And I think I have her oddly trained. Okay, here's something really weird that I've never told anybody, that nobody knows about, that nobody knows about this dog. Um, so I don't like stink bugs. I don't know. Do you guys have stink bugs where
We
you are?
do.
I hate
We
them.
call them
Like,
palmetto bugs down here in the South.
oh, I can't stand them. I can't stand them. They just make me cringe, and I can't deal with them. Spiders, I don't like them, but I can handle them. Stink bugs, no, no way, not getting within 6 feet. And for some reason, I think my dog picked up on that, um, because now whenever she sees one, she never used to do this before, but after a few years, like when I started freaking out seeing one, now she starts to freak out when she sees one. And so I always know when there's one in the house because she usually freaks out and hears it first. And so she'll freak out, and then I look and there it is. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So she's my protector. She's my
Nope.
stink bug
They say
detector.
animals take on the mannerisms of their owners, and
And
vice
she is,
versa. To some point, we take on the mannerisms of theirs because we
right?
depend on their comfort. So
It's so true. She is just like me, and it's a little freaky. So it's a little scary. But she's a sweetheart. She likes to play ball, and she likes to sleep and nap a lot, and she likes to cuddle. So I love
that's
her.
a that's a win-win.
Oh yeah.
for
Right?
her at least.
Yeah, right.
Well, I guess we've come to that point. We've got to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
COVID-19. Are you and your
Yeah.
family and your animal,
Yeah.
is everybody safe and sound and doing well?
Yes, everybody's doing well. We're all isolated in our own places and whatnot. And it's been tough, I think, because, with all of these, I'm doing a lot of live concerts, streaming and whatnot. And normally I'll have at least part of the band with me, and we'll all kind of get together, maybe play a cajon, do kind of an acoustic set. But lately we haven't even done that because we've all been to different places. Some still have, essential other jobs that they do. And it's just, we don't want to risk it being together. And so it's been hard because as much as I want to get together with everybody and play music, it's very much a solitary thing right now. So we've been trying to stay sane, and I think I was talking to a couple of friends, we might play a game over Skype tonight. So you're trying to do things as normal as possible, and I'm trying to stream as much as possible to get music out there since I can't be on radio tour right now. But really, it's been wonderful because people like you and people, at the radio stations and whatnot have been so gracious to open up their, interview lines, their Facebook lives, their Instagram lives, and just invite us in to share our music. So it's been wonderful in that sense.
Well, I'm glad to hear all that, and I know it's tough on not on you, but on all the artists because
Yeah.
people, and I understand everybody's confined, or at least in the state of Florida, is
Yeah.
confined, so pretty much everything is closed. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people out of work, but it's kind of, artists, you don't play, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
Howsoever, I think there's a way around. I think because of the bill, the way they structured this bill,
Yeah.
because they're even doing it with like independent contractors, which basically you could claim yourself being.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can claim unemployment on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully that will, hopefully this thing, we cure it, get it over with, and we can get back to some source and nothing's going to go back to normal because we've had it happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be prepared for the next round because
Yeah.
you can bet it's coming around again.
Probably going to come around again for sure.
No
Yeah.
bummer talk. So always got to address that, but I definitely wanted to address your pooch.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Such cute.
Who were some of your musical influences when you were growing up?
Yeah. So obviously Garth Brooks. I love his music. I love right. I love all the songs. That Summer is probably one of my favorite written tunes. It's so good. So I love Garth Brooks. All the ladies of the 90s, early 2000s. So you've got your Faith Hill and your Martina McBride and Jody Messina, Sarah Evans. All of them, of course, were just so inspiring growing up. And then sort of in a little bit more modern, I really got into Sugarland with Christian Bush and Jennifer Nettles. Their songwriting just I love their songwriting. It's just so detailed and descriptive. And some of my favorite songs of theirs are ones that weren't even singles on the radio, because the songwriting is just so good. So I had a lot of different influences. And I grew up in a family that listened to all music. So we're talking 80s rock, opera, everything. So the Eagles, oh my gosh, I love the Eagles. Learned harmony because of the Eagles, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, a lot of different
Awesome. Yeah, I got to meet them. They were here in Orlando on doing a festival.
Oh,
I want to say there was kind of like a three back-to-back. I couldn't believe it was like Lady Annabelle, Thompson Square, and then
oh
them,
my.
and or Sugarland. Um, they were having this festival thing in downtown Orlando. I live in
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida, by the way.
Oh,
And
okay.
the place where the mouse with the house built.
Right.
That's what we
It's
always
empty
say.
right now, you know.
Yeah, everything's closed. There's
Everything.
nothing open. And so let's get into your current single,
Yeah.
Castle.
Yes.
Where I have an inkling where it comes from.
Yes.
I think it's probably somebody pretty close to you.
It is.
But I'll let you explain it and
Yeah.
where it came from and how it came to fruition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a 6-year-old niece, and her name is Nora. And when she was 9 months old, she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And she spent a week in the hospital. It was a really scary time for my whole family. We just didn't know how everything was going to turn out for her. And thankfully, the doctors were able to sort of get her levels steady. But she went home with a little insulin pump and a CGM to test her blood sugar and whatnot. And life was different for her then from that moment. And, you know, getting poked by needles and having to make sure she checks her sugar. And it just, you look at that as for a kid and you just think, gosh, they shouldn't have to deal with that at such a young age. But she dealt with it with such grace and joy. And then a few years after she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, she was also diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disorder. And then most recently, she was also diagnosed with celiac disease. So she has 3 different autoimmune disorders that have just been life-changing for her. And yet she just is the most joy-filled person ever. And she never lets it get her down. And she has this little battle cry. It's so cute. We'd go to JDRF walks for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And she'd lead the charge and she'd scream at the top of her lungs, "I'm a warrior princess." And it was just the cutest thing seeing this little girl scream that. And so I was sort of inspired by her battle cry to write a song that is inspired by her. And so Castle came from that, just because castles and queens and crowns and princesses, those are all things that she could relate to as a 6-year-old girl. And I think that for a lot of adult women, we can look back at our childhood and be reminded of those things and remember how those things used to inspire us as children and sort of get back to that childlike confidence in ourselves. Because I think when you're a little kid, you feel like you could do anything. But somewhere along the way, that kind of gets chipped away from you. And so I really kind of wanted to go back and channel that feeling of just being powerful and walking strong like a queen. And so while I say the song's inspired by my niece, it's a song for all the women out there who have ever dealt with any battle, whether that be internal or whether everybody knows about it, whatever it is. I want this to be an anthem for them to encourage them.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you, I relate to that song. When I was 5 years old, I fell off of a riding lawnmower and it severed my right hand.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously going through elementary school, I had my things that I went through, but I had what I like to call the God syndrome. When we're young, we think we're going to live forever. It didn't bother me. It was just, and all my friends, once, they got over the things over it, I mean, it became okay. I mean, obviously there was a little bit of bullying, but all my friends would come around, don't mess with our friend.
Yeah.
He's okay. And then at 18, I had to go in for surgery for my back. I had scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine.
Yeah.
So that your song really kind of drew me in, and I could feel everything that you were saying, and I knew it was about your niece and the diabetes thing. And while we're on that, let's expound a little bit on your diabetes program that you're involved with and some things that you're doing, because lady, you're one busy lady. How you have time for music or anything else, I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've most recently been saying is that, you know, music is my passion, but people are my purpose. And to me, when I got into this industry, of course it's about the music and it's about creating music, and I love that part of it. But I think what I love the most about music is the fact that you are able to connect with people on a very deep level with that music. And so one of the things is, in going into this, I always wanted to make sure that it was about people and it was about helping others. And so one of the things, as I mentioned the JDRF walk before and whatnot, so every year, as long as it's going on and as long as I'm not on tour, you know, we go to attend the JDRF walks to help raise money for, you know, type 1 diabetes research. We've performed for a couple of them before as well. So played some music for all the people who are walking for the benefit. We've done things with St. Baldrick's for childhood cancer awareness. And every year we do a Salvation Army Christmas benefit. So this past year was the 5th year that we did the Salvation Army benefit. And I'm trying, I can't recall now at the moment how much, but I know this past year it was around $11,000, a little over $11,000 that we raised for the Salvation Army with that benefit. What's that?
17,000.
That 17,000 was the total for the past 4 years that we had the benefit, and then this year I think it was 11,000. I want to say for over 5 years we've raised $28,000. I think. I don't know why I'm blanking right now. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I need to go back and read this.
and when we get done with this, if you and I'll let you go ahead and tell people where they can donate to the causes that are near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
And send me the links, because what I'll do is after this, I'll create a video and I'll put it up on YouTube. And then I'll insert the links in there where people can donate to your causes and if they wish, then help out the way we can. So if you know those links by name, go ahead and give them to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll shout out one that most currently, you know, I've been talking to and whatnot. There is a nonprofit organization called Crowns of Courage. And, you know, speaking of Castle and speaking of crowns and whatnot, they're a nonprofit organization that provides halo wigs to pediatric cancer patients at no cost to the family. And so you can find them at crownsofcourage.com or across social media at Crowns of Courage. And of course, whether it be a monetary donation, whether it be a hair donation, or even just sharing their profile with your friends and family, anything like that helps. So go look into Crowns of Courage.
Well, I'll probably make a donation because there ain't no hair there for to donate. At one time I did, because the other thing I wanted to cross, the reason I really got into country music was because of Garth Brooks.
Oh, that's awesome.
I grew up with country and western.
Yeah.
I mean, the twangy country and western. So mine was more rock and roll, but I really gravitated, wait for it, disco. That was my thing. I had the rat tail, the feathered hair, the polyester, the platform shoes.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Now you can just imagine a 6'1" guy wearing platform shoes. Really, do you know to wear platforms at 6'1"?
Oh my goodness.
And I was only 18 years old then, so.
Oh my goodness, just towering above everybody, stand out in the crowd.
When Garth come out, he was kind of like you and your. It grabbed a hold of me, and it was kind of like, that's me.
Oh yeah.
And ever since then, I've been doing the country thing.
That's awesome.
So.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I wanted to make sure that we got some of your interest in there, because I mean, like I said, this is about us getting to know you. Yeah. And you know, we all love your music. So.
Oh, thank you so much.
What was the very first performance you did, and at what age were you?
Oh, yeah, that was probably the performance in church. I'm trying to think how old I was. I think I was 8. Pretty sure I was 8, maybe 8 or 9. Maybe I was 9, I think. Singing Cindy Lou Who's Where Are You Christmas. Yep, that was it. And then from there, our church was very involved in doing musical theatrical productions for Christmas and Easter. So from then on, I was in, you know, every production after that, singing and dancing and just singing my heart out. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What tours or artists have you performed with would you consider to be your favorites?
Oh gosh.
That's kind of put you on the spot.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to pick out one, just pick out 2 or 3 and say, this one, that one. Because I'm sure you've performed with, I know the Kentucky Headhunters and
and
one of my all-time favorites, Molly Hatchet.
Oh yeah.
They used to record at a little studio down here, BJ Studio.
Really? No way. Small world. I love it. So like you said, Molly Hatchet, Kentucky Headhunters, and then I'm trying to think. Oh, Marty Stewart. I opened for him, and then most recently it was the Oak Ridge Boys. And so what I'll say is, when it comes to like favorites, the only the only people that I actually got to meet were the Oak Ridge Boys. And so I won't go by favorite, but I'll go by meeting people personally, like which ones I actually had some contact with.
Familiarization, yes.
Familiar, yeah. And so they were the ones that I got to actually speak to backstage. And I remember we talked for like an hour before we even went on. And then when I was right about to go on the stage, my foot was on the stair, getting ready to go. One of them pulled me aside and just said, gave me these words of encouragement and was just so kind. And it made me just run up that stage with so much excitement and energy. And I was like, what a kind thing for someone who's been in the industry for years to encourage me right before I got on stage. And I just thought
they've been here since I was a little boy, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
I used to watch them all local. They used to play on a local TV station here on WFTV. Used to be called Dialing for Dollars, and they were on there in the mornings at 9 o'clock. They did the 9 o'clock morning movies.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, that was it was an awesome experience to get to be up close and personal with them. So
yeah, I might want to rephrase that one. Instead of saying ours, probably do like let's do this one. What has been your favorite venue to play?
Oh, that one's always so hard because each one is so different in its own way. Gosh, and then it makes me have to go through and try and trace backwards. Gosh.
I'll make it easy for you. Just say the next one. How's that?
The next one? Okay, there we go. It's so hard because every single one is different because like some of them, the venue is just a really big space and so you have a big crowd and so there's a lot of energy. But then there are shows that, I've done for a couple of people that are some of the most intimate and most incredible shows that I've ever done. So it's so hard to just pick one, you know what I mean?
I get that. And because that was a new question, I just wheeled on you. I give you a way out of it.
Well,
looking beyond the current time, what plans do you have for your musical career this year and in your future and beyond?
Yeah. So Castle was the first of 4 songs to be released. So I have 3 other studio songs right now that are waiting for release, and I can say that the next one won't be too far in the future. So be on the lookout for news, hopefully coming up within the next couple months here. But so obviously releasing all those studio songs and whatnot. We did a thing this past year during summer tour called the Campfire Sessions EP, where we recorded a live EP in the middle of Iowa on a campground around a bonfire. And it was just a really sort of raw and real way to play some country music and to play some original music. And so each year I'm hoping to do that again. And hopefully this year we do have a summer tour where we can do that again. I'm really hoping to be able to do that. And if not, maybe we'll just call up one of the people in the band, ask if we can light up a bonfire at their house and record it there. But so, obviously trying to get more music out there and whatnot. And just, I don't know, just keep trying to do cross-country tours throughout the nation. We do fairs and festivals a lot. I've just been trying to write more during this time. And I think ultimately I'd love to once again go across the United States, but also I would love to try and get a tour together over in the UK sometime. I think that'd be a really cool thing to do. So just a lot of hopes and dreams for the future.
Awesome. And you crossed this one, so you've already answered it. I was going to say, was there any new music that you could tell us?
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
Coming out. So,
sorry about that. I got ahead of myself.
No, you did. That's great. I mean, just lets me go to the next one because you're really going to like this question.
Yeah.
What are some of the struggles you as an artist have had and persevered through?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a toughie, I understand.
Yeah, that's I think one of the hardest things that I've had to go through as an artist is trying to find and embrace who I am and be okay with that. It's if that makes any sense. When I first started out in this, you know, I remember I had written a couple songs and I sent them into this peer review board somewhere. I don't even remember where, just to have people sort of review the music and whatnot. And I got a ton of feedback. It was a huge, just hundreds of people are supposed to give their feedback. And I remember reading through all the comments, and there were so many great ones. But the ones that still stick with me after, I don't know, it's probably been 5 years, maybe more. But the ones that always stick with me are the ones that weren't kind. You know, there were some people who just had some terrible things to say. And I think for a little while, it kind of made me doubt myself. And despite all of the good feedback, you only remember the bad sometimes. And that's what's really hard, is you have to try and work through that. And I think one of the hardest things for me to finally accept is that, you know, my voice can do certain things and it can't do certain things. There are certain, you know, whether it be notes that I can't hit a certain way or pop type runs that I can't do with my voice. I had to find out that that's okay that I can't do that, because I've got things that I can do with my voice that are unique to me. And if you just embrace who you are and you know what you can do and you just work on that, I think, you know, that confidence really shows through. And at the end of the day, then you don't feel like you're competing with anybody, because everybody is their own unique person and has something to offer, something to bring. And if you can embrace that, I think you finally find that sense of contentment. But that's a hard place to get to. And even if you find it and you kind of hold on to that, you can still lose it every now and then. You still can feel that weight. So I think that's the hardest struggle that I've had to go through.
Awesome. Yeah, I figured out pretty quick with karaoke, singing wasn't my forte. This thing here was probably where I belonged. I mean, you know, when the glass is cracking and people's windows are shattering and the cats are,
no.
I'm just saying.
No.
Nah, I just singing is not my thing. I've tried a couple of times. I get stage fright like a big time, and
yeah.
And you know yourself, if you get the stage fright thing, then it really puts a hamper on your thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, another toughie.
Okay.
With the abundance of talented artists, both labeled and independent artists, how do you manage to stand out in the crowd? I can tell you how I think you stand out. But,
oh gosh.
And I'll tell you when you get done.
Okay. Gosh, that's always such a hard one. Because I naturally am a very introverted person, so I always feel like it's hard for me to stand out, just because I'm always I always feel more in the background sometimes. But I don't know. I think for me, I just want to try and be as authentic as possible for people. I just want to try and be me and not really care, you know, about trying to be perfect, because there were times in my life that I tried to be perfect and it makes you miserable. It really does. And so I think I just try to be myself, and whether that be weird or quirky or geeky, whatever it is, I think if you can just embrace that, people see that and will embrace that as well. So I don't know, I guess that's it for me.
That's you actually used the word that I was going to say. Just be you.
Oh, thank you.
You're authentic. You are you.
Thank you.
I mean, that's when you can take somebody to church. There's no faking that.
Yeah.
That's either in your heart or it's not.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
There's plenty of artists out there faking it. Trust me.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Regarding your fans and supporter base, how do you manage to keep them engaged when things are hectic, such as touring, writing, performing, and with the diabetes foundations and the other foundations? That's why I said you're one busy lady. I mean, I was reading everything you were doing, and I was like, well, you know, there's only 24 hours in the day.
Oh, no.
There's some days in a week.
Well, thankfully, social media makes it really easy to connect with people. So that is always a huge help. And I try as much as I can to go through and try and respond to comments. Sometimes I miss some things, and I always feel really bad about that. But I think it's gosh, that's a hard one. You just especially now, I think there's a lot more time for me to be able to just try and sit in front of the camera and connect with people. It definitely gets hard on tour sometimes because you get to the venue early in the day, you're trying to set things up, you're trying to get ready, you got to make sure that the bus is level and that everything's set up on the stage, and then you have a sound check. And so it can be very easy to miss things, but I try all the time to just keep in mind, okay, so today this is what's going on with sound check, this is what's going on with the show. When can I do this? When can I post this? When can I try and be engaging? When can I try and maybe do a quick live if possible? And I think that's something that I'm still learning, to be quite honest. And in this time, it's actually been a good learning experience for me for social media and for connection and community and whatnot. We started a new board on the Facebook page called the AC Jones COVID-19 Cookbook. And it's a cool thing because with the Facebook groups, I can post every now and then, but I don't have to post all the time as the main posting group, as it would be on your main business page. So in the group, I'll post a recipe every now and then, but it's been so great because we have a little over 500 members now, and everybody just posts, what they had for dinner or a new recipe. And it's so cool because at that point I can communicate, but I can kind of sit back and see what are other people doing and get to know my fans and my followers a little bit more too. What kinds of recipes do they like? And I get to hear from them. And I think that's really important too, is that I'm not always the one talking. They get to talk back to me as well. So it's been nice.
That's awesome. That was one of the things I forgot to hit when we were doing through your bio, because I seen you had there was AC Jones Cooking Kitchen or something.
Yeah,
like that. And I was like, and then you're doing the music, and like I said, you're doing the other things you were doing, and then obviously your social media things. And I'm just like, holy moly, man. What is going on?
Well,
I'm missing something. But obviously you're not as bad at time management as you seem to think you are, or you wouldn't be able to do all them things, young lady.
Well, thank you.
Very, very well done, I might say.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you could give one valuable piece of information to those artists and future artists out there, what would it be in regards to the music industry?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think number one, it goes back to the be yourself, because when you embrace who you are, what your voice can do, what your writing is like, then you can never be imitating anybody else because you're being you. And that in itself stands out. So embrace who you are, really run with it, really narrow in on what you're really good at and focus on that. You could be an incredible finger picker on guitar and play and write some really great songs that feature that finger picking with your vocals. And so if that's the case, like really own that and just really drive that home. So yeah, I think it comes down to just the being yourself, and don't be afraid to put your voice out there, to put your music out there. It can be nerve-wracking as a songwriter, especially just starting out, to put something that feels like a piece of your soul out there. But if it's one thing that I've discovered, it's that there's always going to be at least one person out there who needs to hear what you have to say. And who knows, it might just be one person, but that's worth it, to be able to connect with that one person and maybe meet them where they need to be. So.
Awesome. Nice answer too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Because that's kind of a tough one. I mean, you're talking to future artists, but because I get to talk to so many different people, that is a plethora of information that we can pass on to the young people that are coming up through there, that maybe they won't or can avoid some of the struggles you guys have had to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like to keep things on a positive note, but just to say, sometimes the music industry is not a very kind industry.
Yeah. And I think if I can add one other thing, it would be, don't be afraid to ask questions. because that information is gold. I mean, the more information that you can get, the more aware of things that you are before you go into them, the more prepared you'll be. You know, I jumped into this having no clue anything about the music industry. And I thankfully had so many people who were there, right?
I did the same thing.
Right? And you know, you learn along the way. Always keep your ears and eyes open. I think that's so important, and learn from every experience. Try to figure out whether, you know, it's a good experience or a bad experience. Try and look at it and say, what did I learn? What can I do better next time? And you're gonna just keep moving forward then.
Basically the same principle we use in life to learn in life.
Yeah.
Don't keep repeating the same mistakes and move forward and learn.
It's so true. Yeah.
Don't use it as a negative. Don't look back on it. Use it as a learning tool. Okay, I did it. That didn't work out. Let's go from here, and we know not to do that again.
Absolutely. All right, that didn't work. You know?
Computer and to do all this, because I kind of did you. I jumped in this about 5 years ago. I had a little inkling with the music industry. Like I said, there was BJ Studios here, and I got to see some very iconic people. I got to see the Molly Hatcherds, the Sawyer Browns.
Yeah.
I got to see them start doing Freebird before they, you know, They were originally Rossington Collins before they became who they were, and then after that accident, they went back to Rossington Collins and didn't go back. But I mean, and I was in the studio while they were doing it, and it wasn't like we were best buddies, but I got to see them, and that's not something that some 16, 17-year-old kid can go out and say, hey. I got to see him sing the original version of Freebird,
right?
Which was about 10 minutes long.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there was a reason it was 10 minutes long. We won't go into that because those times were those times, and these times.
Yeah.
So, but I've learned on the fly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to jump into some fun questions, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask you about some dates. Don't give the year. Because gentlemen will never ask a lady's age. For one, when's your birthday?
When's my birthday?
Yep.
My birthday is October 1st.
October 1st.
October 1st. I'm a fall baby.
There you go. Favorite color?
Blue, but a very specific shade of blue. It's like a pale, sort of a pale light blue. I have a mixer. That's
a baby
in the
blue?
kitchen.
A baby blue?
Yeah, it's like a baby blue. And if it's not baby blue, then I like an army green. Those are kind of some of my two favorites.
You're my kind of girl.
Yeah.
I like hunter green. I don't like all color greens. Because it's a darker shade of green.
Yes, it has to be like.
Some people think that's forest green. No, forest green. That's not. It's hunter green.
Yes.
Hunter green is its own color.
Yes.
Just like your blue will be its own blue color.
Exactly.
Maybe like a raspberry something or other, blue raspberry or something. The awesome one. Your favorite food?
Oh my gosh, I love Thai food. So there's a thing called Thai basil tofu. It's my favorite. It's delicious. Could eat it every day.
Great. Woo! I like Thai as well.
Oh, so good.
Okay, your vehicle preference: car, truck, Jeep, or something else like a horse?
Oh, well, I have a Jeep. I like Jeeps, so I have a drawing to that. But I don't like to drive. I don't like driving. So I'm not. So when it comes to actually like car-wise, I like the Jeep. But when it comes to a form of transportation that I'd prefer to use, if we could all ride horses everywhere, I mean, I'd be cool with that. So I used to have horses, so so I'd be cool with riding horses everywhere. I think it'd be safer too, for the most part. I mean,
I grew up on 10 acres, and my uncle across the street had a quarter horse racetrack. And we had orange groves, and my grandfather ran all the orange groves. So we used to go back for horseback rides for hours and hours for the orange groves.
Gosh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. If we could go back to horseback, hey, we wouldn't be having no atmospheric issues that we're having either.
I mean, as long as I can ride him to the grocery store. Like, if you have to go cross country, sure, you could use a car, but like, if I just gotta go to the store,
well,
I mean,
you go to Texas, and some of them still have the hitching post out front.
That's true. Yeah. Right.
I go to visit my daughter in Ohio. She lives in the southern part of Ohio, down Hillsborough.
Yeah. Okay.
And they have the places for the Amish people. Because
Oh,
the
yeah.
Amish, they only use horse and carriage. They don't use
Yeah.
And they have the hitching post, and
oh my gosh.
they were actually really not like the Walmart down there built a shelter for like when they're in the rain or in the snow or whatever.
Oh my
They
gosh.
could put their horse and carriage up underneath there. That was
That's
kind of
really
cool.
awesome that they did that. That's
for the
great.
Amish food is one of my
Oh,
downfalls. That's some good food. I ain't gonna lie.
that is some good comfort food right there.
I think I probably know the answer to this one.
Okay.
Since we've already talked about Andy.
Okay.
Favorite animal or animals?
Oh, so domestic animal, then probably a dog. Probably a dog in that sense. But if we're gonna go out on a limb and say like a random animal, I think sloths are really cute. I don't know. I think they're really cute. They've got funny faces, and so I like them. Pandas are cute. You know. Well, I love animals. I love all animals. You know.
Mine would be like pandas and koalas.
Oh, koalas are so cute. They're so cute. I love them. Anything with
like a miniature panda, but they're not black and white. I mean,
yeah, exactly. They're pretty much the same thing. Oh.
Okay, we're gonna get a little personal on this one. Hope you don't mind.
Okay.
I don't want you to use no name or dates.
Uh-oh.
How old were you when you had your first kiss?
Well, I was a theater kid, so oh gosh. I was probably 16. I think I was 16. I wasn't allowed to date till I was 16, so.
Well, I know a lot of artists when they hear, okay, we're going to get personal, and they go, oh my gosh.
Uh-oh, yeah.
It's pretty tame for that, and that's what I always say. No names or no dates, because you don't want to embarrass anybody, or somebody go back and go, I don't remember that.
No, yeah, I was probably 16. I probably, yeah, I'm thinking so. Yeah.
All right. Oh, a goodie. First instrument you ever played.
The first instrument.
First instrument.
Okay. Let's see here. So if we don't count the recorders that they made us play in like second grade.
I think everybody had to play those, didn't they?
Yeah, right? Oh, that was fun. Alto saxophone. I played alto saxophone. I haven't picked it up in years, but I could still kind of fiddle my way through it if necessary.
My oldest daughter, she used to play for Dublin Kaufman. She played alto saxophone.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
A band.
Such a good instrument.
That's the one that lives in Ohio. She's my oldest daughter.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, here's another goodie.
Okay.
I know you like when I say that. You're like, oh boy, here we go.
I know,
one of these. Don't embarrass me, dude. Okay. Have you ever had any classical training or classical vocal training?
Yes. I can't remember when I started, but it was for 10 years. I had classical training from a gentleman from a college over in Pennsylvania. And so I sang opera for actually it'd be more than that, because then I went into college and I also had training in the same sort of classical opera. So I was singing in Italian, Spanish, German, French, everything like that. So yes, I do.
Oh, I had an inkling. I think she's 15 or 16 now. Bailey James.
Yes.
Bailey James game.
Yeah.
She was trained the same way.
Yep.
And it was out here at a mud thing, and we were live stream. I was working for a radio station at that time, and I was Kick the Camera Guy. I thought it was kind of a cute play on the name. Keeping it country, but everybody said, well, okay, Kick the Camera Guy. No. Anyhow, she told us that she did opera, and I got her to sing live streaming some opera.
That is awesome.
Would you care to venture?
Sure, if I can remember any of the Italian. I can't remember the second part of it, so I'll just do the first part here. I'm sorry, I'm not
20, 15 seconds, whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm not warmed up either, so we'll just do kind of like the front part here.
I said no singing, and here I am making you sing.
No, it's fine. No, it's good. Let's see if here. Okay. Giunse il finir momento che godrò senza affanno il braccio all'idol mio. That's all I can remember for right now.
Nice. Woo, standing ovation. Yes. I like anybody that can even come close to doing anything. It's such a beautiful genre. It's a standalone.
It really is.
You're never ever going to be able to pop it up or hip hop it up or country it up or rock and roll it.
Yeah.
It's opera.
Absolutely.
It's a unique all of its own.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like for your viewers, fans, supporters, or other artists to know about you?
Oh. I'm always so bad at this kind of question.
Yeah, that's
what they can know about me.
Everybody asks you, and you go, well, okay, let me come up with a different one that answered the last guy.
Yeah, gosh, okay.
You can just use a recycled answer with me. It's all about, this is between me and you. I mean,
yeah.
You can be you. If I know it's hard to keep coming up with new answers. Just answer
I think something that maybe not a lot of people know about me is, throughout my childhood, I tried everything. I did everything, whether it was, I danced for a little while, which I'm not a great dancer, but my mom was a dance teacher. And so I took lessons, and I did ballet, tap, and jazz for a while. I was a gymnast for a while. I was on the swim team. I was on the tennis team. I tried a little bit of everything. And I think as a kid, that was so important. And, my parents were so good about being like, if it's something, try everything, but if it's something that you don't like, it's okay to not do it. Pursue what you want. And if there's something out there that you really want to learn how to do, then go after it with your whole heart. You know what I mean? Really go after it. And so I think just kind of dipping my toe in a little bit of everything taught me what I liked and what I wanted to pursue and what things I didn't like. And so I think that was really important to me growing up. And so, yeah, I was doing sports. I was in theater. I did everything. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we've come to the last, but the most important. How can we all keep up with all things A.C. Jones?
Absolutely. So I'm across all forms of social media, Instagram and Twitter at AC Jones Music. I'm on Facebook, AC Jones, YouTube, of course, as well. And then very important on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and the like. Castle, my new single, is there. And then the Campfire Sessions EP is also there. So if you want to go and listen to 4 original songs with geese and crickets and bonfire sounds, you can go and do that. Yeah.
I've been listening to them for a while now. So.
Oh, thank you so much.
I follow you on Spotify. So.
Yes, thank you.
I think it's under my real name's Ray Canada, but
gotcha.
For one reason, I signed it up and it's under Keeping It Country, but then the other thing, whenever I post it, it says Ray G Canada, and I'm like, whatever. I'll figure out who I am. Hey, that looks like the guy that's from Keeping It Country. Hey.
Right.
But a lot of people see my last name and they just assume I'm from Canada. Oh, that's my last name.
That's just your last name. Ray from Canada. No, just Ray Canada. Not from. It's just Canada.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Well, I want to take this time to say thank you.
Thank you.
Coming on and doing this, taking time out of your day.
Oh,
I know that you've been extremely busy, you and all the other artists doing your live streamings. And hopefully we weren't too stressful on you. We made you laugh a little bit and had fun.
No, this is fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Tip my hat to you. And thank you for coming on.